everybody. Welcome to the Becoming a Christian Millionaire podcast. This is a podcast where I share my personal development journey with you on my journey, and I hope on your journey of becoming a millionaire. So, if you've been following me, you will know that from yesterday I started reviewing this book, exciting book. We Should All Be Millionaires by Rachel Rodgers. It says a woman's guide to earning more, building wealth, and gaining economic power. I love this book. I must say, normally I reserve my judgment to the end of the book, but this is one of those books that I just have to express how much I love it. So we are still in the introduction. And if you remember from yesterday, Rachel says that she believes every woman should become a millionaire because of it gives us economic power. And when you have that economic power, you can be a blessing to your family. You can look after your children's children. You can do things in the community that will impact people. So in the introduction, she again gives more reason as to why we should shoot for a million minimum. And for her, earning £1 million a year is a minimum figure that we should all shoot for. So she basically defines what she means by a millionaire. And she says, I define a millionaire as a person who has more than 1 million in assets or who generates an income of $1 million or more per year. So for her, that is her definition. So you either have 1 million in assets or you have the ability to generate $1 million a year. So she then gives examples of 3 people who all became millionaires in different ways. I think 3 or 4. She begins with herself. She began her career as a law clerk for a state judge. And she says that in her role, she was earning $41,000 per year. So she decided to leave that job and she realized what her asset was. She said her only asset at the time was the ability to earn. And so she realized that in order for her to be successful or to earn good income, she would have to quickly increase her earnings. So in order to do that, she quit her job and she decided to pursue her business. She she says that she moved into a cheap basement apartment. She lowered her monthly expenses, and then she began building her law practice. And she began with just 3 friends. She says all her clients were 3 people, her friends that she knew. And she used her one asset, which was her, and it still is her ability, her earning potential as an attorney, and she was able to build significant income. In her first year of business, she made approximately $60,000, more than what she would have made as a clerk, as a law clerk. Then the following year, her second year in business, she made $300,000. And then she says the business continued to grow until she hit the 1 million in revenue mark. And so she says to this day, her business is her most valuable asset. So she has given an example of how she, as a clerk or as a law clerk, was able to quit her job and start her business until she got it to the 1 million mark. That's her example. She then talks about another friend of hers called Emma Patty. She says that, look, there's more than one way to become a millionaire. So with this friend now owns over $1 million worth of real estate. And how did she do that? As soon as she finished college, Emma decided that she wanted to buy her first property. So what did she do? She rented out the bedrooms in her apartment and she slept in the living room so that she could literally live rent free. So she didn't have her own room. She just lived in the living room. She did not buy any nice clothing or furniture. She lived as frugally as possible. She also worked a full-time job. And on the weekends, guess what? She would find discarded furniture and she would restore it and then she would sell it on Craigslist for a profit. So she worked full-time. Weekends, she would find furniture that people no longer wanted, refurbished it, sold it on Craigslist. And yes, she didn't even have a bedroom to herself. Okay, she lived very frugally, and she lived like that until she could afford the down payment for her first property. And then she rented out that property and earned an income from it. And then she saved up to acquire her next property. And Emma did that for 10 years. And she's now a millionaire. She doesn't have to work. She spends her days with her son. She's an activist and she does creative writing. So Emma put in the hard graft and now she can enjoy the fruit of her labor. Rachel, the author, then gives an example of another friend called Terry Ijoma. So Terry is a millionaire as well. She was a school teacher. Even though she loved her job, there were some administrative changes that came to her school. So she found that she could no longer really enjoy her work. So what did she decide to do? She decided to cash out her 401k. So in America, they have a pension plan called 401k, and she used the money to trade stocks and try to earn a living from the stock market. Her first goal was to make $300 per day in the stock market. And she was able to meet that goal after a few months. And then she decided to see if she could earn $1,000 a day. She met that goal also, all right? And then eventually, through day trading, Emma accumulated $1 million worth in assets. So she was a school teacher. And I'm sure if she never quit her job as a school teacher, she would not have had that time to invest in the stock market. And she was clever enough to take her pension money and actually invest with it. Obviously, anything could have happened. It could have gone belly up, but in her case, it was a success. So Rachel also gives the example of a friend, another friend called Rosina Pierce. And Rosina, she used to work in a law firm. So she had a job in a law firm, and she quit that job to start her own trademark law practice. And when basically both Rosina and Rachel, they began working together. And at the time, Rosina was making about $150,000 annually in her law practice. After about 18 months of working together, so both Rachel and Rosina worked really hard. She hired employees and she acquired more clients. And in her first year, she was able to make $100,000 a month. She is now the owner of a seven-figure law practice, $1 million asset, and Rosina is a millionaire. So I share all these stories to tell you that this book is filled with practical examples of how different people became millionaires. So Rachel goes on to say that there are many paths to becoming a millionaire. And you are already on that path. The fact that you're listening to this podcast tells me you are on the path. The fact that I'm reading this book, I'm definitely on the path. Okay? So she says that if you have a retirement or savings account, if you own real estate or stock, or you have a business that generates income, or you have assets that you basically have assets, okay? And these assets make up what is known as your net worth. And your net worth is your assets minus your liabilities. So she says that in this book, you will learn how to grow these assets to $1 million or more. And if you are starting from scratch like she did, she says your only asset is your. So say, for example, if your only asset is your earning potential, she says you can turn that into $1 million too. Just stick with me, she says. Stick with me. So if you are loving this book review, put a comment in the chat. Tomorrow, God willing, I will continue with the book review of We Should All Be Millionaires by Rachel Rodgers. So take care for now, and God bless. Bye-bye.